Welcome, everyone. Grateful to have each one of you here with us this evening. Thank you for being with us. We're really excited tonight. The very best kept secret in all of VIDAFY. We're excited to learn a little bit more information about that, what that looks like, and we are thrilled to be able to have Dr. Jeremy Thornton to be with us here tonight to share with us from our wellness team to give us more information and more insight, greater insight about Symbiofi. We know that many of you take the product. Many of you want to know a little bit more about the product and why it works and how it works. So we're thrilled to be able to have Dr. Thornton with us to be able to share that information with us. Can't wait to be able to hear a little bit more about that. So Dr. Thornton, thank you so much for
Hey, Tyler.
time. How you doing? Great to have you with us this evening. You know, we appreciate all the things that you're doing. You've been with the VIDAFY for a few years now. It's been about 3 years actually that you've been with VIDAFY.
Yes, it's crazy.
And we're thrilled to be able to have you here with us. So thank you so much. We know that you and Sarah live in Missouri, chiropractic doctor, been in practice for a number of years, Diamond and global founder with VIDAFY as well. So we're thrilled to be able to introduce Dr. Jeremy Thornton. Take it away.
Awesome. Hey, guys. Hope you're all having a great evening. I'm excited to be here with you tonight. We're going to talk about some really cool things that I think will be interesting. And what I believe is the best kept secret in VIDAFY, which is this product right here. Would love to see by a show of hands how many are taking Symbiofi or have at least tried Symbiofi. Could I see a raise of hands? Also would love to know where you guys are tuning in from. If you want to drop that down in the chat, would love to see where everybody's at. And also, a lot of people hopping in last minute. Love it. We'll be talking tonight about probiotics and prebiotics and postbiotics and symbiotics. So those are 4 things we're going to talk about tonight in the realm about this product. Have you heard of all 4 of those? Or maybe just 1, or maybe 2? Drop that in the comments. Prebiotics, probiotics, postbiotics, and symbiotics. Have you heard of all of those? We're going to be talking about those tonight. Would love to know how many of those terms you've heard are part of your vocabulary in the gut health department. I'm scanning through here. Heard of 3, 1, 3. Michelle's heard of all of them. Awesome. Never heard of postbiotic. Well, cool. Great. We're going to talk about some good stuff here tonight. So I'm going to share my screen real quick here. So we always have to talk about this because we're talking about health, right? And we're talking about conditions and health-related matters. So the following information is not intended to replace professional medical recommendation. It's only for informational, educational purposes based on preventive medicine. If you have any of the following symptoms, you should see a licensed healthcare professional for the diagnosis and treatment of any medical conditions. So we get that out of the way. This formula, Symbiofi, is a synergistic advanced formulation. So a lot of times I hear people in the VIDAFY community say, this is our prebiotic. And that's how they describe this. And that makes me cringe because how many people have heard prebiotic? It's way overdone, right? When people hear prebiotic anymore, they automatically kind of tone you out, right? Because we've all seen and heard so many different things about prebiotics. You've probably all tried hundreds of different versions of prebiotics or probiotics. And so when we hear those things, we kind of tone it out. We kind of tune it out. We've heard it. We've seen it. We've tried it. But this is so much more than a probiotic, so much more than just a prebiotic. And when I start to look at and talk about the ingredients, when I was going through the information tonight, I just kept getting more and more excited about the benefits of this simple product that sometimes gets overshadowed because we love our drops, right? We love our curcumin drops. They're amazing. They do so much. And so this often gets the back seat to the drops, but I want to share how important it is, and if you're not using this product, why you need to. So it's really what I call it. Instead of calling it a probiotic or a prebiotic, I call it a total gut restoration formula. Doesn't that sound more impressive than just a probiotic? It's a total gut restoration formula, and I'm going to share exactly why I think that is so. So symbiotic, what's that mean? So symbiotics are products that contain both pre and probiotics. And the objective of these is to restore and or maintain the good health of the intestinal microbiota. So this is a symbiotic formulation. There's synergy, right, in prebiotics and probiotics. So that's where we get the Symbio from in Symbiofi, that pre and probiotic synergy. It's a symbiotic product. And of course, the phi is for VIDAFY. So prebiotics are the special plant fibers that act as food, right? Acts as food to the good bacteria, right? We call those good bacteria probiotics. The prebiotics are basically food. You could look at it as fertilizer to help our good bugs grow and thrive and survive and flourish. And so prebiotics are so important, but a lot of people are just taking plain old probiotics, right? Without the added support and food, really, fertilizer for their probiotics. So probiotics are living microorganisms that, when ingested in sufficient quantities, produce a beneficial effect in the health of the host. But probiotics, we could also say, are those good bugs that are already inside us, right? Are also probiotics. So there's 5 billion colony-forming units, 5 billion CFUs of a combination of Lactobacillus acidophilus and Bifidobacterium longum. That's the probiotic portion of this formula, this total gut restoration formula. So when we talk about the human microbiota, the human body is made up of approximately 70 trillion cells. I can't even imagine what that number is, but 70 trillion cells in the human body. 30 trillion of those are human. 40 trillion of those microbial cells, 40 trillion of those cells are microbial, basically bacteria, right? So by that measure, we're only about 43% human, okay? So there's way more microbial cells in the human body than there is human cells. And that's kind of a scary thought when you think about it. So support bacteria, they are the only culture some people will ever have. All right, some of you will probably get that in a little while, but I wanted to throw that out there. The gut microbiota refers to the community of living microorganisms residing in the intestine, those living microorganisms. So we talked about the 40 trillion bacteria that live in the gut. They produce metabolites that have effects on the body. 70 to 80% of our immune cells are concentrated in the intestine. So wrap your mind around that. 70 to 80% of our total body's immune system is concentrated in the intestine. There's also 100 million neurons located throughout the gut that produce various neurotransmitters, regulate mood, and satiety. Did you know, this is another one that's kind of hard to fathom, 95% of the body's total serotonin is found in the intestine. Can you believe that 95% of the body's total serotonin is found and created in the intestine? So what do we do? What do we commonly hear when people are supporting serotonin, usually in cases of, let's say, depression or anxiety, right? We use medications to influence serotonin, right? One of those is called SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which basically slows down the breakdown of that serotonin so it can stay in the body longer, right? That's one way of approaching, from the medical side of things, approaching or addressing anxiety or depression. But guess what? 95% of that's in the gut. Also, 50% of our dopamine is in the gut. The gut makes GABA, another important neurotransmitter. So symptoms for low serotonin: mood changes, depression, chronic fatigue, anxiety, memory issues, sleep problems, sexual dysfunction, poor cognition and attention, gastrointestinal symptoms. And so does it make sense to simply take medications to influence serotonin, in this case, and ignore the gut? Does that make any sense to you at all? No. We have to address the gut. We have to realize the importance of the gut and how it impacts the whole rest of the body. So I hope you have, if nothing else, by the end of tonight's short presentation, a little bit more of an appreciation of just how important the gut is to the rest of our health. Really, the gut is everything. So the gut microbiome is formed by all the microorganisms that we just talked about, their genes, right? The microorganism genes and their metabolites, those things that those organisms make. So there's 9.9 million microbial genes that interact with our body that have been identified in the human fecal microbiome. So in our gut, those microbial genes, those bacterial genes, 9.9 million genes, right, are in there created or that are interacting in our gut. Guess how many genes have been identified in the whole human genome? 9.9 million are microbial. How many in the human genome? 20 to 25,000. That's all the genes we have. 20 to 25,000 human genes, but in our gut, we have 9.9 million microbial genes. That's just hard to fathom. So our microbiome, whoops, jumped ahead there, sorry, makes vitamin K, folate, B12, defends against harmful microorganisms. It teaches our immune system to tell good guys from bad guys, influences the calories that we harvest. It helps, like we talked about, produce serotonin in the gut. And those are just some of the functions. So we hear a lot about the gut being the second brain. Have you heard that saying before? The gut is the second brain. So there's definitely, this is more well known that there's a gut-brain connection. And so if there's a lot of bad stuff going on here in the gut, it's going to impact our brain, right? And that just makes sense, especially if we only, even if we only look at it from a neurotransmitter standpoint, that an unhealthy gut can impact the central nervous system, can impact the brain. But what else? What other systems besides the gut-brain axis are there? So we start here with the gut-brain axis, connects to things like anxiety and depression, mood disorders. It impacts the vagus nerve, the immune system. We have a hypothalamic pituitary adrenal gut axis. Try to say that 5 times fast. So we have, the brain to the pituitary, to the adrenal glands, to the gut. We have an axis called that. We have an immune gut axis, which is important, of course, for a healthy immune system and prevention of things like autoimmune disease. We have a heart gut axis. Yes, the gut can impact the heart function and cardiovascular diseases. We have a skin gut axis, and certainly imbalances in the gut are going to show up in the skin as various skin disorders. So all of these are different impacts that the gut has in the human body. So back to our special Symbiofi formula. Probably what most don't realize is that we have this herbal formula wrapped up in here. And this is one thing that is super special that I've not seen before with other gut formulas that I've seen and tried. I've been in the nutritional field and in practice over 26 years now. And so I've used a lot of stuff to support the gut, but I've never seen something as well-rounded as Symbiofi. And it has this herbal formula. Really, we should call it a superfood formula. It has algae alpha. Now that is a blue-green algae. It's spirulina. It's got shiitake mushroom and chlorophyll and moringa and chicory and white mint and fennel seed, celery, all within this herbal detox superfood formula, 530 milligrams of it. We don't have time to go into all the benefits of that, but if we just look at a few of them, spirulina, for example, is an anti-inflammatory, an antioxidant, supports red blood cells, reduces allergies. Shiitake mushrooms supports healthy metabolism and skin and anti-aging and immune function and circulation. Moringa, an anti-inflammatory, supports blood sugar, hormones, digestion. Chicory supports digestion, anti-cancer, immune system, kidney support. White mint supports bowel and digestion and allergies and skin and stress. And fennel seed has anti-cancer benefits, anti-inflammatory benefits, and cognitive benefits. And those are just a few of those ingredients, those superfood herbal ingredients that are inside this formula. And so why do we need to worry about detoxification? Well, unless you've been sleeping, you realize that we live in a very toxic world. Can I get an amen in the comments on that one? We live in a very toxic world, and our body needs to have support in these detox efforts and these detox mechanisms. And so this list talks about some of these, but things like pesticides and medications, things like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, which are things like our ibuprofen, right? Take their toll on as far as toxicity in the body, heavy metals, pollutants, endocrine disrupting chemicals that are in our cleaning products and our hygiene products and our smell good products, right? All of these things we're bombarded with plastics, xenobiotics on a daily basis. Our body needs support, right? Our poor gut, our poor liver needs support in this area. And I'm so glad that this product keeps that in mind in this formula. Also contains magnesium. I think this really rounds this product out well because I do a lot of blood testing, and one of the top two nutrients I find low most often is magnesium, and the other one is actually vitamin D. So magnesium is a cofactor in more than 300 enzyme systems that regulate biochemical reactions in the body, including protein synthesis, muscle and nerve function, blood glucose control, and blood pressure regulation. This article down here from the British Medical Journal talks about subclinical magnesium deficiency, a principal driver of cardiovascular disease and a public health crisis. So I won't read all of these, but you can see some of the possible symptoms from low magnesium. And then these are fairly common symptoms. Just a tip, a pro tip, if you do get testing done or you're interested in testing blood, it's recommended rather than testing serum magnesium, write this down, to test red blood cell magnesium. And this is a simple test you can have done through your doctor, through your lab, and instead of measuring serum magnesium, ask for red blood cell magnesium. And they actually look inside your red blood cells and they're able to tell how much magnesium is actually getting into your cell. A much better predictor of magnesium levels in the body. You want to have at least a level of 5 or more, and some would argue maybe even 6 or more. But most patients that I check are in the 4s and sometimes lower. So important test. The problems we want to solve, and I won't go into a lot of detail because these could be just presentations all on their own, but one of those is intestinal dysbiosis. And I like the term dysbiosis because it makes me sound smart. And so you guys grab that word and use that. You know, I'm using my Symbiofi to prevent intestinal dysbiosis. And all dysbiosis means is that there's an imbalance in your good guys to bad guys. Okay, that's it. That's all it means. Dysbiosis means we have way too many bad guys, right? And not enough good guys to balance that out. And that is simply what dysbiosis means. And why do we have dysbiosis? A lot of the same things we've talked about, toxins, right? But look at all the things that we have studies on that can happen when we have alterations in our gut microbiome. It's been tied to, oops, getting ahead of myself here. I'm trying to move you all's lovely faces out of my way there for a second. Esophagitis and esophageal adenocarcinoma, asthma, allergies, atopic disorders, for example, skin problems, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes and type 1 diabetes, metabolic syndrome and obesity, rheumatoid arthritis, autism, hypertension, cardiovascular disease, kidney stone formation, inflammatory bowel disease, colorectal cancer, and mood disorders and autoimmune have been tied back into alterations of that gut microbiome. So dysbiosis, right? And so this guy here says, we still need to run some tests, Mr. Glabner, but we think you may have leaky gut syndrome. So as funny as that word sounds, this is a real condition. This is a real public health crisis called leaky gut. And what can cause leaky gut? A lot of the same things we've talked about, chronic antibiotic or NSAID use, heavy metals, mercury fillings, traumatic brain injury, chemo, radiation treatments, C-sections, gut dysbiosis, hormonal imbalance, chronic inflammation, nutrient deficiencies can be a cause. Dietary causes, gluten, nightshades, sugar, inflammatory omega-6 fats, your fake fats, right? Your trans fats, your industrial seed oils, right? Your canola oils, your soybean oils, your safflower and sunflower oils, very inflammatory fats. Your lifestyle, environmental toxins and sleep deprivation and alcohol and chronic stress and liver toxicity, all of these can lead to leaky gut. And what's leaky gut? If you hear I probably talk about this every single health condition we talk about because gut is tied in there. So if we look at the intestinal lining here, this is what this represents here. And here's where our food goes, right? Or our medications or whatever else we swallow goes through here. And right here, these little villi here, these little projections here is how we absorb our vitamins and minerals, okay? They call these, where the cells come together, they call these tight junctions. So we get this wear and tear by all the things we just talked about. Makes these junctions not so tight anymore. Can you tell that? Right? And so now things that shouldn't be coming through that intestinal barrier are. So that becomes compromised, right? That permeability becomes altered of that intestinal lining. And now these things are coming through into the bloodstream, right? Which is where our immune system is. And it decides it doesn't like some of that, right? And then we start to have problems with the immune system. So we could have food reactions, food sensitivities to things like gluten, dairy, soy, compromised immune system leading to things like allergies and asthma and eczema, nutrient malabsorption, and increased risk for autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's, MS, rheumatoid, inflammatory bowel disease, lupus. All these things can be triggered as a root cause because of our gut, our dysbiosis, our leaky gut, all of these things. So we have to restore the balance, right? And that's why I call this our gut restoration, our total gut restoration formula, because that's what it is. I won't go into all the details of lactobacillus and bifidobacter, but there are two main probiotics that are in here, and they have so many health supportive benefits, and that's why they chose these two primary probiotics to use. The lactobacillus and the bifidobacterium are super bugs and just barely necessary, especially in our toxic day and age. So I like this formula because it kind of all ties it together. We talked about prebiotics, right? So these are the specialized plant fibers. These are the fertilizer to our good bugs. So then our probiotics can take in and ingest that dietary fiber, ferment that fiber, and produces what they call short chain fatty acids. So basically, short chain fatty acids are your postbiotics. Remember, so many people didn't hear of postbiotics before. These are the short chain fatty acids that are produced when your probiotics, right, consume those wonderful prebiotics and they produce short chain fatty acids. Now, the benefits of short chain fatty acids will just blow your mind. In fact, we could talk all night and just talk about benefits of short chain fatty acids, things like butyric acid that are produced by our good bacteria. And I won't read all of the highlights in there, but there's a lot of extra things. But the topics of anti-inflammation, anti-obesity, anti-diabetes, anti-cancer, liver protective, cardiovascular protective, neuroprotective, constipation, inflammatory bowel disease treatment, immune regulation, all of those we have a lot of research showing are addressed and benefited just by having healthy levels of these short chain fatty acids, what we could also call postbiotics, right? Does that make sense? And there's a lot of other benefits that we have. This is just another article with lots of research of all the different benefits we have from probiotics and prebiotics and postbiotics all together, many of those same benefits. So Symbiofi, we have the prebiotic, the probiotic, the herbal detox superfood formula, along with the magnesium, right? And so we're going to talk about recommendations of use. We take one sachet a day. I'm going to show you just a second how simple that is. It's super simple, right? You take a sachet out, you open it, you swallow, and you are done for the day. But we also need to make recommendations. Health is never found in a bottle, right? Health is never found in just simply swallowing a pill. It's about diet, eating better foods, right? Drinking enough water, moving your body, right? Getting that exercise. We probably should have put another picture in there about getting enough sleep because we simply don't do that. And we share what that looks like here. So we have our box here, right? This has 10 packets in here, and the packets look like this. Oh, can't see it right there. And it has 4 capsules right in there. So, right, we just do this. Okay, whoops, I dropped one. So we have our 4 capsules, boom, right there. And we just pop them back. Let's hope I don't choke. Does anybody know Zoom CPR? Is that a thing? It says if I choke, I don't think Sarah can hear me, but everything's okay. So that's as easy as it is, and I'm done, right? I usually do that either first thing in the morning or right before bed is a good time to do that. A tip or trick that I've learned, and Ryan and I have been doing this actually. If there's a time during the day that you have a tendency to want a snack, does anybody get the snacks at nighttime, right? When you know we're not supposed to eat, but that's when you want to eat, right? And you're craving those chips or whatever is in the cupboard in the kitchen, you know, you're supposed to stay out of. Well, do one of these either before that meal that you tend to want to overeat a little bit, right? You want to eat that second helping, you know you shouldn't, or that time at night you want to snack, pop it then, and you'll be impressed at the satiety that that fiber provides. A lot of times people ask me, well, do I need to take 4 capsules forever? Right? That's very individual. Everybody does things differently. What I do, and this is not right or wrong, it's just what I do, right? Is I recommend our patients, they start on one of these a day for at least 3 months. And depending on their health condition, they may do that much longer. Then sometimes we will titrate that down. Maybe at some point we might want to just use 2 capsules a day, right? Instead of all 4. So what would that look like? Well, on your auto ship, right, each month, you can alternate how many boxes that you want to come to your house, right? So what we do is if you want to take 2 capsules, the first month you'll have 2 boxes, right, on there. The next month you just need 1 box, right? Because you'll only go through 3 boxes every 2 months instead of every month if we're just doing 2 a day, right? So that's a possibility. But I have some that say, that I've said, well, you could reduce your Symbiofi if you'd like. But many of them don't want to, right? Because they feel so good. And they've had so many health benefits from adding that in. So, everybody loves these drops. And we couldn't go without our curcumin, our BioMS formula. But if you've only done this and you've not done this yet, you're doing your body a disservice. These two together are a powerhouse. It's a knockout. So if you haven't done them together, you just have to. You have got to experience that and what it's going to do for your health, because it's amazing. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to turn this back over to Tyler. And is there anything I didn't cover that I should, or are we good?
I think we're good. You're a very brave person to be able to take the Symbiofi on the Zoom like that. And congratulations for not choking. We appreciate that. I've done some Zooms where I have actually choked quite a bit, and it was not a very fun experience. So, congratulations on that. That was outstanding. Just excellent information, Dr. Thornton. As always, we appreciate your expertise, but the in-depth preparation that you go to be able to help us to be able to understand not just the end result of what the best kept secret in Symbiofi can do, but all of the different things of why we need it and how it leads up to Symbiofi and better taking care of ourselves. I love that you said that Symbiofi is a total gut restoration formula. That was something that was a big takeaway. Also, just because I want to be able to try to say it, Symbiofi is there to be able to prevent intestinal disbiosis. Did I say that right?
Love it. Yes.
So I had to try
You,
that. So
you feel smarter already, right? Just saying that word, you feel smarter.
I have elevated my IQ by 10 points just by being able to say that correctly. So thank you very much, Dr. Thornton, as always, for sharing that information and hopefully you have a better understanding, all of you, for what Symbiofi can do. And it's what an incredible product that it is. We're grateful to Shane and Laura, to our founders, to our wellness team in the creation and the development of that product years ago, and loved being able to have it on our and with what we've got. So we have time for a couple of questions, Dr. J. What do you think?
Oh, sure. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have any specific questions through the chat? Ask those questions through the chat if you would, and we'll take a look at those. I don't know if anybody's got any questions or not. I'll give you a second to be able to look at it. Okay. How long does it take to begin feeling the effects of Symbiofi?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a very individual question as well. All those things that we talked about that are connected to gut, and so the level of health, right? Chronic health issues, how long we've been dealing with things, um, the level of our diet, right? What's the level of toxicity that we have in our body? So, all I can tell you is that all of the people that I've used this with feel better. And like I said, I always have them at least use that dosage for a full 3 months before we try anything different. And many times they never want to come off of that dose because they feel so good. But it's usually not long before you notice benefits. And even faster if you're also using our amazing BioMS technology.
That makes sense. Perfect sense. So one last question. Does it act as a laxative? Is it function that way?
Not a laxative per se. Now, there could be those types of benefits, right? If the dysbiosis, right, is creating an issue with slowing down that peristaltic activity of the bowel, which can certainly happen when there's irritation and inflammation in there, then this could get things moving, right? But I've never used this and said, oh man, I got to be careful about timing this, right? I got to get to the bathroom in time, right? That I'm going to have an accident. I've never had anybody have any issues like that where like it was like a super laxative, but I've had it in cases where things were moving a little bit too good, right? I've had it slow that down to a more healthy level and a better consistency without getting too gross tonight. And things, and just the opposite if it needed to go the other way, because right, none of these is desired or designed to force things to happen, right? It's designed to create balance, create gut integrity, and support the body in a healthy way in the detox capacity.
That makes perfect sense. Awesome. Thank you so much. We've had a few people that have asked for the slides for this particular presentation on Symbiofi. We just recommend that each of you go to VIDAFYvideos.com to check this out. As Dr. Thornton is a member of our wellness team, certainly this is his information that he's put together, that he's done the research on, and we want to be able to keep it that way. So we encourage you to go to VIDAFYvideos.com to be able to see a repeat of this presentation, which will be on there just a little while this evening. So thank you so much again, Dr. Thornton, for doing this. You've been fantastic, and we appreciate you as
Thank you.
always. One thing real quick, we want to be able to remind you of the bounce call, which will be on Monday the 7th. That'll be the next time that we connect with you. That'll be on Monday, October 7th. So we encourage you to join us for that, where we'll be talking about all things, certainly Bali, which is a wonderful trip that we've got coming up. But we'll be talking about everything that will be happening in the month of October as well. We appreciate all that you're doing. Thank you so much again for joining us this evening, taking your time out and having a chance to be able to hear about Symbiofi from Dr. Jeremy Thornton, the best kept secret. I hope everyone has a fantastic day, a wonderful evening, and thanks again, everyone. Good night.